Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, the show that offers you tips and strategies to help speakers build the business of their dreams. Now here's your host, 30-year industry veteran and business coach, Jane Atkinson.
Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. Today we are exploring the idea of business by design. What do I mean by that? How about, since we're going to all the trouble of growing a business, how about we build it based on what's perfect for us, a lifestyle business? And today we have just the right person to talk about this. My friend Kent Julian is here. Welcome, Kent.
Great to see you. How are you, Jane?
It's been so long since we've talked to each other.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A long while. And I'm very, very happy to see your smiling face and get back with you. Tell everybody about your current business model.
So when it comes to speaking, my business, the way that I would describe it is the business I have. Number one, it's very streamlined. I don't have a lot of employees. I do that on purpose. It's grown really well, but I've been able to manage it with a few VAs, and that's kind of the way that I like it. I know other people, when I connect with other speakers, especially when I go to the CSP Summit, which you know what that's all about. Mm-hmm. You sit in a room with multiple different speakers that have everybody in there has a different business. And over the years, I've really, I've thought about maybe doing business this way. I thought about doing business this way. And the more that I hear all the different models, and they're all great, but you really want to come up with one that fits you. So this really streamlined, simple business, the way that I run it really fits who I am, how I'm wired, and what makes me tick and energizes me.
Okay, so that's the speaking side of things. Tell everybody who you speak for. What's your market?
Okay, I started in the youth market, and I still do that every once in a while, maybe 5 or 6 engagements a year, but I'm primarily in what I would call an association market, where I'm speaking to business associations, some government associations. Okay. I really go after associations.
Okay. And so no particular industry, not one vertical, just associations across the board.
Yeah. So, there's 2 ways to niche your speaking. There's actually, to me, there's 3 ways. You can niche it on topic, you can niche it on industry, or you can do both. And when I was in the youth market, I really did both. It was very, very niched. I didn't go to schools. I primarily just did the big statewide associations, and I did leadership. Okay. So I was topic and what I would call industry. And when I moved into associations for businesses, I started that way, Jane, and realized that the message I was sharing was one of these that's very niched on topic, but it can fit all kinds of associations. So in the last 6 weeks, I've done club management, I've done banking, and I've done an education conference. And then this coming up in a couple weeks, I'm going to do a transit event. So those are all very, very different industries.
And what is the topic that you're delivering to those people?
I do leadership and culture, company culture or organization culture. And I speak specifically on how do you create a response-able team? How do you create a response-able culture?
Nice. I like that.
Thank you.
And so you have this going, and how many times a year would you go out and speak? And have your parameters gotten more narrow the more you have said, okay, I know I don't want to speak like at night when people have been drinking. I know I don't want to speak on Saturdays. Like, what are the boundaries you've put around yourself for your speaking business?
Okay. So, and this will lead into, if we want to talk about, because I know we're talking about lifestyle business.
Yeah, I want to hear about your passive income too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I really shoot for no more than 35 engagements a year. And that's even for me, that's pushing it.
Okay.
And so just to give you a little bit of background, um, I came out of being an executive director for a national youth organization. And when I was doing that role, I did a lot of training, I did a lot of speaking, and I was primarily traveling on weekends. So this is when my kiddos were really little,
Hmm.
and I was probably gone 100 plus nights a year, and then on top of that, um, probably at minimum of 2 weekends a month. And it's one of the reasons I got out of that work.
Yes.
And so when I came into doing this, I knew that I was going to have multiple streams of revenue. That was my desire, at least. I didn't know it, but I mean, that was my desire. And I really figured out my sweet spot. 25 is kind of low, 35, I would say, is high. So if I dial in somewhere between 28 to 30, 32 a year, and I count an engagement. I know a lot of people will say they count all, like if they go somewhere and they speak 3 times
Hmm.
and 24, 36 hours, they'll say, oh, that was 3 engagements. For me, that's one engagement. Go
Talking.
somewhere
Yeah.
one time. Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So 30 per year is kind of where your sweet spot is.
Correct.
And are you still doing weekends and things like that?
Rarely.
Rare.
I mean, occasionally,
Okay.
if I want to take the event, but almost never. I mean, you know, 1 or 2 a year,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know. Yeah.
And maybe there's a time when, the family can come with or something like
Right,
that.
right, right. No,
Got
and that does happen. That does happen. My wife, we're empty nesters now, so she does like to travel with me, but she doesn't need to hear me speak. So
you.
it's got to be a good place
You
and
heard
something
it.
she enjoys.
And they're done there, got the t-shirt.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's switch gears now and talk about this passive income that you've developed for yourself. What is that business?
So I have uh, a rental real estate business where I just own personal real estate properties. So here's what's really interesting, Jane. I when I first got into business, I didn't understand the difference between what I would call a passive and an active. I mean, I did, but I didn't. And so I wrote an article on the two different lifestyle businesses you can have, and they're both very legitimate and they both fulfill a different purpose.
Okay.
And so my speaking business, I look at that business as something I'm never going to sell. When I'm done, it's done.
Mhm.
My kids don't want it. It's a personal brand business. I'm very active in it. And so the way I describe that, it's like a vehicle that drives my purpose in life. That's how I look at speaking. So it's a vehicle that helps me drive into what I feel like is my life calling and that's why I enjoy it so much and I want to invest my time and energy in that business.
Mhm.
Well, what happens is if you're a speaker, you can create pretty good revenue from speaking. I mean, it's a
Yes.
great business to be in for that. And so this is where I would get confused because I'd read business books or I'd be at NSA and I'd hear, just this last CSP, there were two different people in my mastermind. One had 7 full-time employees. The other one was retiring and selling his business. And
Mm.
again, it's what they wanted. Um, and I used to get distracted by that and confused by that. And I thought, well, that's maybe what I'm supposed, if I'm going to be successful in this is what you're supposed to do, I guess. What I found is there's another type of lifestyle business, and that's my real estate lifestyle business, where instead of driving my life calling, it help support the life I want to live. And so I call it buoys my life. And so I on purpose in that one, I love real estate, but I have people who manage my properties for me. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm not collecting rent. I don't do any of that. So one really drives my purpose. The other one buoys the type of life I want to live.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, yeah, you're just basically identifying what investments you want to be a part of, yes or no, and then you put your money where your mouth is and you
And
reap rewards.
yeah, and one of the great things about speaking is if you do well in it, you will have revenue, and there's only certain things you can do with it. You can give it away, which we do some. You can spend it, which we do some, or you can figure out what's a good way, to invest. And some people do the market and everything like that. I have just found investing in real estate has really, I often will say this, I have made really good revenue speaking. My wealth has been built
Right,
through real estate.
right.
And again, very passive. I mean, it's fun. It's something that I've studied over the years. I've built great relationships with um, people who do all the work for me. But it literally, Jane, if you were to say, well, how many hours a month does it take you to manage your, your real estate business? And I would say a month. How about when I'm not buying a property, it's maybe 10 hours a year. It really is 10 to 12 hours a year. It's just doing taxes and checking in with my property management people once a month for 30 minutes.
And you would they come to you with an opportunity? Hey, we have a property that we're eyeballing and we think you're a good fit for it.
Sometimes they do.
Are you a part of a consortium?
No, sometimes I do, but I have over the years. So, I've been speaking for, gosh, got to start doing my math here, for about 13 years. And I bought my first piece of real estate within a few years after that. And so what happens is over time, again, it's a very different type of thing, but like I've connected relationally with professionals. So I have a real estate agent when I'm ready to go buy something. I've had a good year in speaking. Here's the dividends that I'm pulling out. Hey, let's go buy another piece of property.
Okay.
I get him looking for me. And yeah, so it's just very, very different, but it's a great, like for people who are doing this and you're going to make money, you do get out there. And especially if you read business books, there's so many business that talk about building your business to sell it. And I look at my personal brand business and I go, who's going to want to buy the Kent Julian personal brand unless it was my kids? And then even my kids aren't me, so that's going to be hard. But I look at what I've done in real estate, and now we've got something that, again, it buoys our lifestyle. But guess what? When we're done, guess what we get to do with our real estate? We get to pass it on to our kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so, it's just a great way to go. We are also, we've had quite a bit of real estate, and I'm just always curious about it. And I'm always watching the market to see what's going on. We're not in a very good place right now here in my hometown in real estate, but when the interest rates will drop by even a quarter point, that's going to make a very, very big difference.
Interesting.
That did happen south of the border. So that was everything kind of ripples upward, but a little bit later. So we just sold a property that we've held for 15 years. And actually,
oh, wow.
My two brothers were our tenants. One of my brothers is handicapped. And so we've gotten him relocated and we're cashing out now because, we've kind of, it's done what it was meant to do as an investment.
Did you manage all that yourself?
We managed it all, but it wasn't a lot to
manage. Okay.
There wasn't a whole heck of a lot to it, but we were gonna do a big renovation and then sell the property, and somebody swooped in and asked us and gave us our price, and so now we don't even have to do the renovation.
Oh, that's awesome.
you very much.
Yes,
We'll wash
that's
our hands of
awesome.
this. But I love watching out for real estate and seeing what's coming on the market. And it's to me, it's fun. We really enjoy the flip, not a flip, but like the renovation and the makeover part. My husband loves it. I love it. And we've done it on multiple properties now
Wow. Now
together.
see, you're way brave. This is where mine's so passive. It's
Yeah.
literally go in, buy something that's ready to rent, and we
Yes.
rent it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the perfect way to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're able to be hands off on that. And a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't want to be a landlord. But if you're giving it to somebody else to manage, I think it can be a beautiful thing. You don't have the headaches and the 3 a.m. calls of I'm locked out of my
I
apartment.
I never ever have that. I never have that at all because and it is, part of it if you're going to do something like this, you want to be wise. So to me, one of the things when I was looking at, okay, what do we do with this revenue that comes in from speaking? Again, it could go into the market or whatever. And a lot of people just do that and they kind of do it blindly. I always felt like, man, I don't know what's going on in all that stuff either. And
Mhm.
so I became a student of real estate and I really learned you've got to get a great, if you're going to do it the way I wanted to do it, you've got to find a really good property management company. Well,
Yeah,
I've developed a great relationship over the years
that's
with my
good.
property management company and they cover everything and they're friends. It's not just,
Yeah.
in fact, helped,
Family.
yeah, their family and I've helped them by sending people their way. It's a really great thing. Hey,
That's
I'd love to recommend a book if you don't mind.
oh,
And it's
geez,
it's
let's
just
do it. We'll put it in the show notes too.
yeah, this has helped me. And if you want me to, I can send you a link to the article that I wrote. There's this article of two pictures. It's a 2-page article on two pictures of lifestyle business so people can understand it.
Okay.
But this book right here, it's called The Thought Leaders Practice by Matt Church.
Okay.
And it is so again, back when I was reading all these business books, I'm meeting with all these different speakers, and I'm just even hearing, I'm not hearing I'm hearing people think of it in big business, and it just never settled with me. So I felt like I was almost a renegade in how I was doing my business. And about a year ago, I ran across this thought leaders practice. And I'm
Okay.
like, this is what I did. And the thing that makes it so good and why he calls it a practice is he says, you're you're not building a business like other businesses. You're building it more like a practice where if there's a dentist or a doctor that has a specialty, the way that person builds that business is around them doing that specialty. And
Mm-hmm.
so everybody they hire isn't there to make money, it's to bring more business in for that expert.
Right.
And so thought leaders practice is all about how do you create a business that's more of a practice that revolves around you sharing your thought leadership in multiple different ways. And they talk about how do you build a 7-figure business with a very lean staff, and with really high profit margins, and you're never planning on selling this thing. You're just going to, and in fact, they even talk in there, hey, when you get it up and going, you're making good business. You're not trying to, you're not trying to necessarily grow the business. You're looking to take that money and invest it somewhere else. So these guys I wish I would have read this 10 years ago when I was doing my business at the beginning, because it just articulated everything that I did, but it put words to all these thoughts that were going on that I had never really read articulated anywhere else.
That's really good. The Thought Leaders Practice by Matt Church.
Yep.
Uh, if you are thinking about selling, and I do have the odd client who is in the position to be able to do that. It's because they have thought leadership as well as systems and process
Exactly.
bring people through their door. And if you're
Exactly.
not at all interested in developing that, then it's true. Then once we go away, our business will likely go away. I've been in that position with the Wealthy Speaker School. Do I sell it? Do I close it down? What do I do when I'm ready to retire? And I don't have the answer yet. I don't know.
Well, and wouldn't you say yours too is a B2C business versus a B2B business? Would you say Speaker Launcher is a B2C
Well,
business to consume customer?
we do have all that one-on-one people coming through the Wealthy Speaker schools. So yes, absolutely. You're right about that. And I think and the fact that we do have so many systems and processes in
Right.
place means that but I love where you're talking about like just kind of lean and mean in terms of staffing. We've really taken a lot of looks at those numbers in the last year and a half, and we've gotten more lean and more mean with everything that we're doing, because as I think about what's out into the future, in my mind, it's not even necessarily about the money. It's more about simplifying the process.
Right,
You know,
right.
so talking about lifestyle business, I mean, my goal is that I'm working 3 days a week into the future. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Mondays and Fridays are off, and every weekend is a 4-day or 5-day weekend. That's the goal for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think you're on the same train, on the same path at some point here.
Yeah, and I just again, when we're talking about lifestyle business here, so it's really what do what you're looking for, and I just love the concept of, hey, this speaking thing, the reason I enjoy putting time and energy into it is because I really do feel like the message I'm sharing is a calling in my life. So when I'm sharing that, it's not a it's not just about being on stage. When I'm writing books on it, like I'm doing a book right now, when I'm doing that, I just feel so fulfilled and so alive. And if I, as somebody who comes from a background that was running an association and I had multiple staff and I was overseeing all these things, that drained me. So that's why I wanted this kind of lifestyle business. And then with the real estate, the way I look at that again is, hey, if I'm going to do that, I need somebody else who's going to, run the staff and do the details. I don't want to do that. So that's kind of how I look at it. One really drives my life calling, and the other one is helping support the life I want to live.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there who are probably trying to sort this out for themselves, and you're focusing on it that way could be very helpful. This part is purposeful. This part is what keeps us afloat.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
or
what
and it
doesn't allow us to retire early.
exactly. We look at it like the speaking business brings in a ton of revenue. So we're fine like that. But it's like, okay, what do we do not just to blow through this or we get to the end and we go, wait, where did it all go? What do we do to buoy it that way? So I do know if you were talking, like people who are listening in, and especially the people who are they've got it up and going and it's beginning to kick for them, they're gonna come to the place where they have to decide, okay, do I do this 50, 60, 70 times a year on the road? If I don't, what else can I do to create revenue? All those kind of things. So I think this is a really good thing. Like if you're starting from scratch right now and you're just trying to get it, just focus on getting, speaking engagements. But once you get to the place where, hey, this is now a legitimate business.
Yes.
You want to be thinking this way. Or else you can go down bunny trails. Like I just know I went down that bunny trail, and for multiple years, even though deep down inside, I said, I don't want to be managing multiple people. I thought that's kind of what you're supposed to do because, hey, to be a legitimate business, that's what you have to do. So I feel like I kind of wasted some of my time versus getting really clear from the beginning. Hey, this is driving my passion, and I can use the revenue in other ways to buoy the life we want to live.
And I'm thrilled that your life has balance to it with the 30 engagements a year. Somebody told me about this guy that was doing like 300 gigs a year, ridiculous price. And I thought, well, his family doesn't see him.
No.
Like, ew. I just, nothing about it that felt appealing to me. I don't care if he's making bazillions of dollars every year. When he comes home, his family will be gone.
Yes. No, and you probably know this as well as anybody. There are people out there that are speaking on how to live your best life, and if you pull back the curtain on their life, I wouldn't want their life.
No,
you know?
no.
I don't want to be judgmental, but I just would say, I don't want that.
Well, also it's incongruent to their message.
Right. Correct.
So don't tell me that you've got the life going on when your family and children never, ever actually see you.
Right.
That's right. We know that's not legit. So yes, I don't want to judge that either, but just don't tell me what's not really true.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Don't lie to me. Kent, I want to say thank you so much. We would love the article. We're definitely going to put a link to the book. If people want to connect with you, what's your favorite way of doing that?
Well, for speaking, it's kentjulian.com.
Okay.
But I do a little occasional podcast called it's called the Paid to Speak podcast.
Oh, good. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, no, and it's just a little personal one. I don't do interviews. It's just me kind of sharing thoughts.
Nice.
And when I'm off the road, I share those thoughts every once in a while. So over about 3 or 4 years, we're up to almost 100 episodes. So it's
congratulations.
Yeah, it's a little project of love, I guess.
Like a passion project.
Yeah, just something to share.
Don't say little. Let's just call it just a passion fun project.
It is. So it's called the Paid to Speak podcast. So they can just look it up and
beautiful.
And it's fun.
We'll send some people over there. Kent, thank you so much for your time. And for those
pleasure.
Tuning in, I hope you've gotten some ideas on I'm at this particular level. Maybe I need to start thinking about either investing or winding down. Who knows? Everybody's in a different place in their business. And I'm really excited to get another point of view on that. So thank you so much, Kent, for being here. And with that, we will say, see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. If you need help building the speaking business of your dreams, head over to wealthyspeakerschool.com and take advantage of our 20-minute next step call. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast.